Hello, I'm Anne Kerr. Welcome to my art studio. Drawing animal fur or hair, same thing, can be very rewarding, especially when you get it right. There are many different ways of drawing fur, but there is one particular way where you get the very best results. And in order to get those good results, you need to remember three things. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what those three things are, and as we discover what they are, I'll put them up on the screen so that they're there for you to refer to. So, are you ready? Now, it doesn't matter whether you're drawing with a stick of pastel, a pen, a pencil, or a paintbrush. The principles of drawing hair or fur are exactly the same for every medium. When we draw hairs growing out of the skin, we start at the bottom and we draw upwards. Now, why would we do that? Well, a hair is going to be bigger at the bottom where the roots are than it is at the top. It has little pointed ends. So if we flick our pencil up like this, we get a bigger piece at the bottom and a little pointed end. If we did it the other way round, it's quite difficult actually. Can you see how we've got little pointed bits down here where the roots are, but we've got flat tops? Now, no natural hair will have a flat top, unless the animal's been to the hairdresser's and he's had a haircut. So natural hairs have a pointed top. So in order to get that pointed top, we need to draw upwards from the skin in the direction that the hair is actually growing. And there's the little pointed tops. So the first thing we need to remember, which we'll put up on the screen, is always draw hairs from root to tip. Let me introduce you to Felix. Now, Felix is going to help us to find out the three important things to remember when we're drawing or painting hair. Now, I will be using a piece of fur just to demonstrate something. Now, don't worry, this is not real animal fur. It's man-made. So I'll be using that. So here's Felix. Now, I'm not going to draw around here because the little hairs around this part of an animal are very small and short, and they go in all sorts of directions. So we'll forget this bit. So we'll do the wide piece up here. Now, if I start drawing hairs like this, and then I do another layer, and then I do another layer. Now, it's not quite as easy to see what's happening on that. So what I've done is I've enlarged the top part of Felix onto this piece of paper, and I have made some little models. I know you're laughing because you think, Anne's been making models again. Yes, I have. It's the best way to explain something. That's quite difficult to see what's happening, but have a look at this. This is a row of hairs. The brown bit is the roots, and the yellow bits are the pointed tips. So, if we look at a piece of fur, let's have a look at the collar of my jacket here. We can see that all the tips of the fur are showing, but all the roots are right down there at the bottom where you can't actually see them. So we need to be able to draw fur so that we see all the little tips, but we don't see the roots. So let's try it. Here's my first row of hair. Here it is. Let's put it there. Here comes the second row of hair. So that's row. And we have to overlap them. If we don't overlap them, the poor animal's only got one layer of hair and he'll be almost bald. So we need to overlap them to make really thick, luxurious hair. And here comes the next row. And here comes the next row. Now, can you see what's happening? We've got all the roots are lying on the surface, and all the yellow tips, except for this last one, are hidden underneath. Well, that's not right. We want the little tips to be up on the top, and the roots should be right down touching the skin. So that can't be right, can it? So that's obviously not the way to draw hair. So let's go back to Felix. In that case, we know we've got to draw from root to tip, because that was our first little rule. So, okay, let's draw from root to tip this way. Root to tip, root to tip, root to tip, root to tip, root to tip. And the next row. And the next row. Not easy to see that. Let's go back to the model. So this is what we did. We did root to tip, root to tip, root to tip. And then we put on the next layer. And then we put on the next layer. Ooh, that's better. Look, we've got all the yellow pointy bits lying on the top, and all the roots are down at the bottom. Yeah! Ah, but can you see what's wrong? They're pointing the wrong way. This poor animal, we'd have to stroke it this way. And we know that hair grows upwards on an animal's face, so we don't want to be stroking it that way. So that can't be right. So the second thing we've discovered is that we have to draw the hair in the direction that it grows. Not this way, because we're going to have to stroke the animal downwards. So we need to draw the hair upwards. So we can now put up on the screen the second thing that we need to remember, and that is you have to draw in the direction that the hair is growing. Well, what if we turn these around? Now that looks right. The hair is growing upwards on the face, so we can stroke it this way, and all the little yellow tips are on the top. Now, how about turning off the video and trying to work out how you can fill in this part of the animal by getting the little yellow tips on the top, but the roots right down at the bottom. See if you can work it out. Now, the answer is actually incredibly easy. Now, the answer is, instead of starting to draw here, which is what we did in the first place, there's our rows of hair with all the roots on the top and all the yellow bits hidden underneath. All we have to do is to move everything to the outside edge of the animal. Watch. There's my first layer. There's my second layer. And there's my third layer. Now, look, I can stroke the animal in the right direction. All the hairs are pointing upwards, just like they do on here. All the hairs are pointing upwards. And all I did was to start on the outside edge, not in the middle. So the third thing we've discovered is that you must always begin on the outside edge of the animal. You can draw hair in lots of different ways. But the only way to get the really, really good result is to start from the outside edge and work your way towards the middle. You don't start in the middle and work towards the outside edge. It doesn't work. Now that we know the three things we have to remember, we have to draw the hair from root to tip, we have to draw it in the direction that the fur grows, and we have to start from the outside edge. Now let's apply that knowledge to a different part of the animal and see if it works. This is an article I wrote for Leisure Painter magazine a little while ago, where I was explaining how to use pastel pencils to do animal fur. So here we've got an animal, and I've put a red line around this leg because this is the leg we're going to look at. And if we look over here, this is the finished leg, and here is the actual drawing of the leg, and that's what we're going to look at. So let's get rid of the magazine. Ignore the eye. I didn't really want to cut that off, so let's just look at the leg. And in fact, I will put a piece of paper over the eye so it doesn't confuse you. Now we know that the hairs on the leg are growing down this way, because this is the way you would actually stroke the leg. And we know that we have to draw hairs from root to tip in the direction that they grow. So let's go back to my little model row of hairs, and let's put the model row of hairs there, and then we'll have the next row, and then we'll have the next row. See what's happening? It's going wrong again. We've got all the roots sitting on the top, and all the little yellow fluffy tips are hidden underneath. So that can't be right. But if you look up on the screen, can you see that we've drawn from root to tip? That's the first thing. We're drawing in the direction that the hair is growing, which is down this way. But what we haven't done is we haven't started from the outside edge. This isn't the outside edge. This goes up into the animal's body. This is the outside edge here. So let's put our row of hairs here, and the next layer, and the next layer. Look, it's working. The hairs are lying in the right direction. We can stroke them down like this. We can stroke the animal in the right direction. So what I did was I drew those, and I gradually worked my way up the leg until I got to the top. And if I take those away now, we can carry on drawing the hairs. Root to tip, root to tip, root to tip, root to tip. And the next row, root to tip, root to tip, root to tip. And you can see how they're all lying one on top of the other in the direction that they're growing. So we applied those three things that are up on the screen. And as long as you've got those three things in place, you will get the best possible hair drawing or fur drawing that you can. So that's the way to draw animal fur or hair in order to get the very best results. If this video has been useful for you and you haven't done so already, then consider clicking that subscribe button and the little bell icon, because that will let you know when I upload another video. If you've enjoyed this one, then give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Now remember, there is an artist in everyone. Goodbye for now.